Hello everyone, and welcome back to BTD Behind the Date. Today, we embark on a journey into a somber and complex chapter of criminal history as we unravel the tragic case of Mary Bell, a child thrust into the center of a shocking series of crimes that unfolded in the 1960s. Before we delve into the details, it's crucial to establish a foundation of sensitivity and respect for the gravity of the subject matter. How much we like thrillers and murder mysteries, we cannot deny the fact that it shakes us to the core hearing about such incidents in reality. The events surrounding Mary Bell's case are undeniably distressing and have left a gruesome mark on those directly affected. Our purpose in discussing this case is rooted in education, aiming to shed light on the complexities surrounding juvenile crime, the legal system, and the enduring impact on society. We approach this topic with empathy for the victims and their families, acknowledging the pain they have endured over the years. Mary Bell was born in 1957 in Newcastle upon Tyne, England. She had a very disturbing upbringing. Her mother, Elizabeth Betty Bell, was said to be a local prostitute who was mentally unstable. Betty was only 17 years old when Mary was born, and she was her second child. She would often travel to Glasgow to work, leaving her children at home. Sometimes the father of the children was there to take care of them, but a lot of times there was no one, and they just wandered around. Although the identity of the biological father of Mary remains unknown, for most of her life, Mary believed that William Billy Bell was her father. He was not only a violent alcoholic, but a habitual criminal too. His arrest records included armed robbery. Right from birth, Mary was an unwanted and neglected child. Her aunt, Isa McCricket, had reportedly told someone that right after the birth, when hospital staff tried to place Mary into Betty's arms, she started shouting, "Take the thing away from me," all through her childhood. Right from when she was a baby, Mary frequently suffered injuries. Betty dropped a young Mary, about 3 years old, from a first-floor window, and then she plied Mary with sleeping pills. It is also said that Betty once even sold Mary to a woman who was unable to bear children of her own. That woman was mentally unstable. Catherine, her older sister, traveled alone across Newcastle to reclaim Mary and bring her back. Betty's family repeatedly offered to take care of Mary, but Betty refused. She is also alleged to tie a very young Mary's hands behind her back and force her to perform inappropriate acts with her clients. You can imagine the trauma and the impact this would have had on little Mary. She started showing signs of unpredictable and disturbed behavior. These signs included sudden changes in mood and persistent bedwetting. She would often fight with other children and even attempt to suffocate or strangle her classmates or playmates on multiple occasions. In one disturbing incident, she tried to block the airway of a young girl with sand. She started showing distress signs. At times, she would just start shaking her head and form a steely gaze, scaring the children to death. Mary's violent actions led many children to avoid socializing with her, but she got really friendly with her next-door neighbor, 13-year-old Norma Joyce Bell. No, Norma was not related to her. They just shared a surname. When she was just 11 years old, something really sad happened. She got involved in some bad things that made a lot of people very upset. It's important to remember that what we're talking about today caused a lot of pain for the families of the people who were hurt. We're talking about this to learn and understand, not to make things worse. In the year 1968, people all over the country heard about Mary Bell. We're not here to talk about the scary details, but we want to learn about why this happened. These things didn't just happen a long time ago. They changed the lives of many people. Mary Bell's actions didn't just affect a courtroom. Families and whole neighborhoods felt really sad because of what happened. As we talk about this, let's remember that we're talking about real people and real feelings. Our goal is to learn and understand why things like this can happen. Before the major killing of Martin Brown, a few small incidents took place, one of which was reported on Saturday, May 11, 1968, when a 3-year-old boy was found wandering, dazed, and bleeding near St. Margaret's Road in Scotswood. When the police inquired, the child told them that he had been playing with Mary Bell and Norma Bell on top of an old air raid shelter. These shelters were created to protect people in case of an enemy attack. He was pushed from there, which was about 7 feet high. This caused a severe cut to his head, but he couldn't confirm which of the two girls pushed him. Another incident happened the same evening. Parents of 3 little girls contacted the police to report that both Mary and Norma had tried to strangle their children while they were playing in a sandpit. When confronted at first, both of them refused right away. They said they found the boy bleeding. When probed further, Norma confessed that Mary did try to throttle the girls. Due to their young age, the police did not take any action against them and let them go after giving them a warning. They did notify the local authorities, though. On May 25, 1968, the day before her 11th birthday, Mary Bell strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown in an abandoned house at 85 St. Margaret's Road. It is believed that Norma was not with her at that time, and she committed this crime alone. Martin's lifeless body was discovered around 3:30 p.m. by 3 children. He was found lying on his back, with his arms stretched above his head. There were no apparent signs of violence on his body, except for specks of blood and foam around his mouth. John Hall, a local workman, arrived at the scene and attempted CPR, but unfortunately, his efforts went in vain, and he could not resuscitate the child. At this time, both Mary and Norma appeared at the bedroom doorway. They were quickly ushered out of the house. The 2 girls then went to the house of Martin's aunt, Rita Finlay, and conveyed the unsettling news. "One of your sister's kids has just had an accident. We think it's Martin, but we can't tell because there's blood all over him." The next day, on May 26th, Bernard Knight conducted a post-mortem on Martin Brown's body. Despite a thorough examination, Knight couldn't find any signs of violence on the child's body, making it difficult to determine the cause of death. The possibility of poisoning through ingesting tablets was ruled out. An inquest held on June 7th returned an open verdict, leaving the circumstances surrounding Martin Brown's death inconclusive. Martin's mother, June Brown, reported that Mary knocked on her door shortly before his funeral and asked to see Martin. When June told her that Martin was dead, she simply said, "Oh, I know he's dead. I wanted to see him in his coffin." Mary was still smiling. June went speechless and just slammed the door on her. This didn't stop there. The next day, on her 11th birthday, she and Norma broke into a nearby nursery and vandalized it. In a frenzy of destruction, they ripped books from shelves, overturned desks, and splattered ink and poster paint across the property before fleeing. They also left a couple of notes, one of which read, "I murder so that I may come back." Another read, "We did murder Martin Brown, fuck of you bastard." Nobody could imagine that more horrible things were set to happen soon. Just 2 months after the first murder, Mary Bell murdered another child. On July 31st, 1968, 3-year-old Brian Howe suddenly went missing. He was playing outside his home with one of his siblings, his dog, and with Mary Bell and Norma Bell. Soon, a frantic search was started by relatives and neighbors. At around 11:10 p.m., a search party discovered his lifeless body between concrete blocks on the Tin Lizzie. The policeman noticed that the murderer had tried to conceal the body with grass and weeds. The body had scratches and bruises. The suspected murder weapon, a broken pair of scissors, was lying near the feet of the child. It was concluded that he had been dead for more than 7 hours before his body was discovered, and that he died of strangulation. The body had other injuries too, including puncture wounds, hair cutting, partial genital mutilation, and an attempt to carve the letter M into his stomach. The killer, believed to be another child due to the force used, left behind fibers not belonging to the household on Brian's clothes. Over 100 detectives started investigating. Mary and Norma were also questioned. Mary said that she had seen him playing with another child, and that she saw that child hitting Brian as well. She also tried to make a story around all the clues found with the body, like the grass, weed, and broken scissors. This led the detective to believe that Mary was the actual killer. It was on the 4th of August that Norma's parents contacted the police and stated that their daughter wanted to confess something about the death of Brian. Norma told the police that Mary had taken her to show Brian's body and also told her how she killed him. On further questioning, Norma admitted being present at the crime scene when Mary killed Brian. Mary did not even show a hint of remorse. Even during Brian's funeral, she just stood there, laughing. Both Mary and Norma were arrested later. In 1968, Mary Bell's trial, which lasted for just 9 days, resulted in a guilty verdict for manslaughter, with the court citing diminished responsibility. Recognizing her psychopathic personality disorder, the court decided on her detention at Her Majesty's pleasure. This term, often used for young offenders, indicated an indefinite period of detention, considering her age and psychological condition. Norma Bell was acquitted of all charges, as she was deemed to be a passive partner. The judge described Mary as a dangerous individual who posed a very grave risk to other children. He also said that steps must be taken to protect the public from her. The judge also said, "It is a most unhappy thing that in all the resources of this country, it appears there is no hospital available, which is suitable for the accommodation of this girl." She was just 11 years and 6 months old when the sentence was promulgated, and this made her the youngest female killer in Britain. Mary Bell's release on parole in 1980 marked a crucial point in her legal journey. To safeguard her privacy, a court order was implemented, ensuring her identity remained protected. This decision prompted reflections on the rehabilitation of juvenile offenders, raising important questions about the challenges in diagnosing and treating mental health issues in young individuals. The Mary Bell case serves as a complex and thought-provoking example, highlighting the ongoing debates within the legal and psychological communities on how best to handle such cases. As we finish talking about Mary Bell's story, it's important to remember the sadness and difficulty this case brings. We learned that Mary had some mental health issues when she was young, and it led her to do some really bad things. The courts decided she needed to be kept away to keep everyone safe. Later on, she was allowed to leave, but her identity was kept secret. This story teaches us that young people with mental health challenges need special care and understanding. But talking about these things can be sad and even a bit scary, so it's important to be careful and thoughtful when discussing them. Let's use Mary Bell's story to remind us to be kind and understanding, especially when it comes to mental health.